Yep, you're late. Well, I was just trying to help him out.
In case no one noticed. Yeah.
Could you speak to her closer? I just turned on and said it worked. This is more like some than where this came from, so.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all.
We just can't. We just can't.
Call the Tuesday, March 19th, Broken Arrow City Council meeting to order. Invocation. We have Andrew Conley. He's going to give the Pastor Conley is going to give the invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity we have to be here. Thank you for the great city that we live in, and that we have men and women who love it, and that we have the opportunity to celebrate our right to be here and express our concerns and talk things through. God, give us wisdom tonight. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Next, we have roll call.
Wimpy. Here. Parks.
Here.
Lester.
Here.
Udi.
Here.
Thurman.
Here.
John's turn.
Okay. Please join Councilman Parks in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 5 is the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Mayor, if I may, before we do that, I know a couple council members had a question about the change order for Tiger Hill. I wanted to make sure the council members were comfortable with the information that staff provided, and if we need to have Mr. Schwab or Mr. Mills come back up, then we can certainly do that.
I think that answered mine.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy.
Yes.
Parks.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Udi.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Okay, item 7, public hearings, appeals, presentations, recognitions, and awards. We have a presentation for certificate of recognition for Zico for reaching a milestone of 40 years of business in Broken Arrow. Mr. Spurgeon.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of council, good evening. Tonight I have the privilege of introducing Marlon Goodwin, who is representing Zico. On the agenda, as you mentioned, Mayor, there is a presentation of a certificate of recognition to Zico for reaching the milestone of 40 years of business in Broken Arrow. Just a little bit of background. Zico is a global leader in the design, engineering, and manufacture of next-generation combustion equipment and advanced environmental systems. The company is headquartered in Broken Arrow and operates more than 20 locations. It has the largest product research and test facility on the earth, 4 strategically located manufacturing facilities, and more than 1,000 employees and agents, and thousands of installations on virtually every continent in the world. Zico has made the decision to keep the headquarters in our wonderful city due to the deliberate choice to create an environment where manufacturers can thrive. I'm extremely excited to ask the council members to recognize Zico and ask the council members next week to attend their 40th anniversary and to present the certificate. At this time, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor, for the presentation.
Okay. Marlon, if you want to come up, we'll, City Manager, present this. That's what I read, so we will present it and read it again on next Friday. Okay, item 7D, presentation regarding update on city street maintenance program funded through street sales tax. Rocky.
Before Mr. Hinkle speaks, I just want to let the council know, as back in November of 2015, the voters overwhelmingly approved repurposing a portion of the street maintenance tax, the tax for the division, to a third for police, a third for fire, and a third for street maintenance. And that actual repurposing went into effect in early 2017, I believe it was. And so what I asked Rocky to do, based on conversations with the council during the budget session, is to make sure that we're providing periodic updates on how that tax is being spent for the maintenance of our streets. And so every quarter, probably the last meeting of each quarter, Mr. Hinkle is going to come forward and give a brief presentation on what has been completed and what the plans are for what will be done in the next quarter. Now, during the budget process, the council will approve the tentative plan each year on how the money is going to be used, which is approximately $3 million. And so that way, what you're going to be seeing is what you approve as a part of the budget.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Rocky Hinkle, Director of Streets and Stormwater. Just to reiterate what he said, last August I updated the Council on projects that were identified for rehabilitation work utilizing the Street Sales Tax Fund and the process and the criteria that was used to select those projects. Tonight, I just want to tell you some of the projects, some of the work that's been completed, some of the work that's in progress, some outstanding work, and some additional work that we were able to complete this fiscal year. Starting with the completed work this year, in December we completed the citywide striping contract. This comprised of about 16 miles worth of roadway lane markings and striping refreshing. We also completed the asphalt mill and overlay in the Indian Springs subdivision. This has a PCI of 34, which is the pavement condition index, is what it was at the time before we resurfaced it, comprised of about 0.9 lane miles. We also completed an asphalt mill and overlay project in the New Tulsa Estates. It had a PCI of 30 and a lane miles, approximately 2.7 lane miles.
Rocky, do me a favor, remind folks that are here in the council about the PCI index and what a 30 actually means, please.
Okay. The PCI index is rated from 1 to 100. Currently, our overall status of our streets is 70, so we're right on the borderline of good and very good. So obviously a 30 requires some work, so this was the criteria we used to select these projects. Finally, we completed an asphalt mill and overlay project in Foster Lewis. It had a PCI of 46 and consists of about 1.1 lane miles. Here are a couple pictures of the finished product in Indian Springs, as well as a couple pictures in Foster Lewis. Next, I want to talk about some of the work that's currently underway or in progress. We are working on Wolf Creek, which consists of some asphalt mill and overlay, some concrete panel repair, some sidewalk and ADA ramp construction. It's about 50% complete. It is scheduled to be complete June 1. It had a PCI of 57 and consists of about 19.2 lane miles. We are also working in the Central Park Estates subdivision. It is a concrete panel replacement project. It's about 45% complete, PCI of 59, and consists of about 7.1 lane miles. Arrow Acres is an asphalt mill and overlay project. This winter, our crews repaired the curb and gutter and driveways and some base failures. It's about 33% complete, had a PCI of 51, and consists of about 2.4 lane miles. Our milling contractor is scheduled to mobilize tomorrow and start milling on Thursday, so I anticipate this project to be complete by the end of the month. From there, our contractor will move to Angus Acres. Again, it's an asphalt mill and overlay project. This winter, we completed the curb and gutter and driveway repair and the base failures. It's about 25% complete, had a PCI of 43, and consists of 1.1 lane miles. From there, the contractor will move to Kenwood Hills. Again, this winter, crews repaired the curb and gutter and driveway and some base failures. It's about 33% complete, had a PCI of 51, and consists of about 3.35 lane miles. Last week, our utility department installed 3 casings for the future water lane installment later on this year. So I want to thank Alex Mills and his crew and Chuck and his crew for the coordinated efforts. We're also working in 6100 Center, which is a concrete panel replacement project, 10% complete, had a PCI of 59, about 0.2 lane miles. We also are doing crack sealing, which is a preventative maintenance technique or method, nearing completion there. We're about 80% complete. Here are a couple pictures of the finished ADA ramps in Wolf Creek. And here is some curb and gutter repair that we performed this winter ahead of the mill and overlay project in Kenwood Hills. Some remaining work we have left is Arrow Springs, which is an asphalt mill and overlay project. It is tentatively scheduled to be advertised in April. consists of curb, gutter, and driveway, sidewalk, and ADA ramps. It's about 12.3 lane miles. Hidden Springs is another asphalt mill and overlay project, about 6.2 lane miles. The Wedgewood Second Edition is a concrete panel replacement project, consists of about 2.1 lane miles. It's tentatively scheduled to advertise at the end of April, early May. Also, concrete package number 1 is tentatively scheduled to advertise at the end of April, early May, as a concrete panel replacement project. It is made up of the Vandiver 6th, Aspen Pond, Forest Ridge, Millicent Pond, Southbrook, and Stacy Lynn the 7th subdivisions, and it's about 6.5 lane miles. And of course, we have annual sidewalk maintenance, which is various projects in various locations. Some additional work that we were able to complete due to coming under budget in New Tulsa Estates, at Foster Lewis, and Indian Springs. We completed some work in the Arrow Park subdivision, which was Boston Street from Elm Place going to the west to the dead end. Had a PCI of 32 and consisted of about 1.3 lane miles. We were also able to complete some work in Old Town along South Cedar Avenue from Broadway to Dallas. Had a PCI of 26 and consisted of about 0.3 lane miles. It was curb and gutter and driveway repair, construction of some sidewalk and ADA ramps. And finally, we were able to address the undermining of the Florence Street Bridge over the Creek Turnpike, so that project is complete as well. Not only do we focus on these specialized projects, we also focus on some of our core responsibilities, like pothole repair.
What a photo.
I'll have you know that patch is still standing today. So,
That's good work.
so some totals here. Completed work is about 4.7 lane miles, or $915,000. Some work that's currently in progress, 33.4 lane miles, or $2.7 million. Remaining work, 27 miles, lane miles, and $2.3 million worth of work. And then the additional work that we were able to complete was about 1.6 lane miles, $225,000. Currently, you can go to our webpage at the Streets and Stormwater Department to find an update status, but as Mr. Mills will discuss here in a minute, he will be launching a new tool where citizens can go in the future to access this information. So with that, I'll be happy to entertain any questions or comments.
Can you address Ash and what the status of that project is?
I'll turn it over to Mr. Mills.
Yes, sir. Although it's beautiful today, and I was a little aggravated that I didn't see asphalt crews out there, we're ready for asphalt.
Okay.
We hope by the end of the week. The concrete work has been completed, and a lot of the prep work, even behind the curbs, is complete. So we hope to have asphalt down by the end of the week or first of next.
Okay.
I have 2 questions or comments I want to make with Rocky up here. First off, I had a couple council members ask me about, and I visited with Mr. Schwab about this, is that the road leading to the wastewater treatment plant is the fact that it's very narrow. And I know that it's not as easy just to actually put down a bunch of asphalt to widen it out. There's engineering, there's grading that goes along with that. But I would like to ask that we will have a meeting and discuss this and look about adding that to next year's plan, because buses do travel there. It's also, obviously, we got construction going on, so we don't want to do anything that's going to tear up the road. But Mr. Schwab has assured me that there's certain things we need to do, but I want to make sure that we at least look at that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the second thing is that you're going to be adding restriping to the roads district and getting those areas restriped sometime this spring.
Yeah, here probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We'll probably start at the north end. It'll be night work, so we don't affect any of the patrons or the consumers. So we'll kind of tie it into the bike lane project here starting next week.
Okay.
Anything else?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 7C, presentation of City of Broken Arrow project website. Alex.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Alex Mills, Engineering Construction Director. I'm going to walk over here because I have to use a mouse to operate. Well, the good news is I got an email earlier today telling me that Esri, which is the basis for our website, was going to go through a scheduled maintenance tonight.
Good.
But it doesn't start till 7, so I was in a deep end. Is that as big as we can get it? Yeah, I guess so. This website has been a collective effort of a lot of the departments, and we're just really wanting to be completely transparent with the work that we're handling. The voters have approved these projects. The City Council has directed us to move forward with those. Administration's been working hard on them, and a lot of people are interested with what's going on. We feel this is going to be a really good tool for people, both citizens, council, just anyone, to get an update of where we're at on projects. So now that said, the data is not complete yet, so if you see something that's a little wrong, bear with me. We're not quite ready to publish it yet. But anyway, we have an intro screen here, but then you'll see these tabs at the top. The first one's transportation. And as you can see, we have different highlighted colors. The blue colors are what we're calling other jurisdictional projects, and those would be Tulsa County projects. We get a lot of questions on roads that are at the boundary between Tulsa and Broken Arrow, and those are under the jurisdiction of Tulsa County, so we're going to do our best to keep those projects updated with information as to how they're going. The green projects are prior bond projects. Those could be 2008, 2011, 2014 GEO bond projects that were somewhere in the project life cycle. The yellow projects are the 2018 bond projects. The solid lines are named projects, and the dotted lines are unnamed projects. So if you...
Alex?
Yes.
I noticed there's a blue line on county. Is that a Wagner County project, or is that a...
That's New Orleans, 101st Street, and they're picking up just past the events, or just past our events park and going all the way to 51. So if you want to zoom into a particular project, you can really get down to the nitty-gritty here, and you can click on the project, and what it'll do is it'll pop up this informational box, which will give you the title of the project, how much funding was available, what funding source was used for it, and again, please don't look at any of this data here, the current project status, and then what we'll have under design, right-of-way, utilities, and so forth is projected timeframes like spring of 19, fall of 19. We can't get down to the too much detail on these, but we'll give people a flavor of when to expect these projects. And the nice thing is you can really, you can really zoom anywhere you want. You can zoom into the Rose District and see the projects we have going on. There's the previously mentioned Ash project. There's First Street that we're advertising right now. That's Streetscapes 5 out in front of Milestone that's coming. And then just very simple, that's Kenosha Date Domain. So these projects are all represented there, and we'll probably go through on a monthly basis and update the current status of where we're at on these. We also have a tab for residential street maintenance, and it's a little more impactful when you zoom out a little bit. And so there we go in and we highlight the streets in the neighborhood to show you what the scope of the project is. And again, if you click on any one of these, it'll pop up a dialog box, and this is Central Park Estates improvements. It'll tell you how it was funded and general status. Public safety. We show all the current fire and police stations on there, and we show any future projects we have planned through the bond. And that could be not only the stations, but it might be the training center or something like that, any police or fire facility. Quality of life, we show all the existing parks, and then we show all the planned park improvements. Now, I'll admit some of them are a little difficult to show. Citywide trails is kind of hard to show on a map, but we do the best we can. And in some cases, we're looking for property, we don't have it acquired, so there may be times where projects are planned, but we can't show them effectively. But it does show everything we've got going. Public facilities, this would include the Veterans Center we have planned, the Senior Center we have planned. It would include improvements to streets and storm building, those type of projects. And then we have stormwater and drainage. Takes a second for this to load. It actually shows all the different drainage basins within Broken Arrow, which is kind of informational. If you're an engineering geek like myself, you can see where the break lines are for the different watersheds. It'll show you improvements that we have planned with the named and unnamed projects. So it's fairly informative. This is the water system, and it actually shows every water line within the city of Broken Arrow, all the way out and including our water treatment plant. So it's again, the data is only as good as our GIS data, and the council's approved previous budgets for improvement of our GIS data integrity, and it will continue to get better, but it certainly gives you a flavor of where the work is and where all our systems are in the city. And then, of course, the favorite of everybody is the sanitary sewer system. And again, it shows the different basins. You can see the Lynn Lane plant. You can see the plant we share with Tulsa. It'll show the pump stations. It'll show all the gravity and force main lines, and show all the different projects we have. Now, I've been I've been discussing with Michael's case that, gee, wouldn't it be cool if we had a tab on here for developments that are going on. He has a internal site where he can track all the different plats for the new neighborhoods that have come through, all the commercial developments. And gee, wouldn't that be a nice overlay to have that on there? So there's really no limit to where we could take this, but we are grinding through the data right now, and I would suspect we can have this published within a couple weeks, and we'll have it on our website so that really anybody that wants the information can get it. So that's really the length of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
This is going to be, sorry. I was going to say, this is going to be great for people, like quality of life, to see where that's one thing that people think we need, or they say we need more parks or we need more trail systems, but that'll be a great tool where you can actually go on and see.
I suspect people are going to open it up and go, we have a park over there?
Yeah.
So I think that'll be great.
How does you said the information will be on there for another couple of weeks. How's it going to be updated? Is the company updating part of it, or staff updating?
That will be my group that'll update
So
it.
you just bought the program, and then we update it, staff updates it?
We already have a license with Esri, the GIS website. So really, it's the formation of this format and the graphics that go on top of it that the company helped us with. I assume there'll be a very small amount. We'll probably want to check with them on a yearly basis, but most of the data updating can be done internally with our staff.
Well, I will tell you, one of the biggest, most frequently asked questions I get called at home or emailed is, what is the status of this project? When is that happening? And I think this is a great resource, both that I can look at to inform the resident, but also to send them to so they can look at, it might pique their interest on other things. I mean, I love this idea because it will allow us to better communicate what's going on with the residents, and probably take a bit of a burden off the staff that we have to ask, can you tell us what's going on? So
you know, I've wondered about that myself because
Worried about job security?
That's why I asked who to put it on, so if you've got to put it on, it's still a job.
My job is totally
Nobody
secure.
else knows how to do it.
That's right.
If I have to be the last one in the department updating this data, it will be.
Okay.
We'll pass that along for you.
Well, no, honestly, I think it probably will drive a lot of questions too. And when people start looking at the different screens and saying, hey, we have a lot of infrastructure here, we have a park here, but we don't have a park here, it's probably going to drive questions. Hopefully it'll just drive discussions about the future, not so much, hey, where are we at on this one? But gee, looking at that map, don't we need a park over here? Don't we need, new infrastructure here? So.
Well, I think the other thing is that they see road projects going on, and they understand why their particular road project can't get started until one just south of it's done.
Yeah, particularly we have 3 major road projects, east-west road projects on the east side of town, on the west side of town, and if we were to build all those at the same time, we would be very unpopular. I'm already going to be unpopular. But
well, that's one of the things I tell people about why County Line hasn't come on yet, because we figured it didn't make sense to have 2 major north-south arterials clogged up. So we wanted to finish Lynn Lane first and move to the next one. And I think that makes sense, but when you're living on or near County Line, you kind of want to know when it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And this is the tool.
And I will tell you, there's some trepidation about putting these dates out here, because as we change dates, there will be those who look to get irritated about a date sliding, and there's not a whole lot I can do about that. I mean, life happens. You just do the best you can, but I want to be transparent about what we're doing. We're pushing projects forward as hard as we can, and if a project gets delayed for whatever reason, I want to be transparent about that. So.
And will it show like the current date? So like as you guys update, obviously you're not going to overall update I would assume you would be updating projects individually as they go on.
Individual
So when
projects.
you click on those, does it show this is updated as of, or, so like if we were to look on, if someone called about a project, we could look on there and say, well, this is as of this date.
No, that's an interesting point. I don't think we have an updated as planned right now. I think we'll probably get on some sort of regular routine and probably put that on the website somewhere, but that's a good point.
Anything else? Great job, Alex. You got done before 7, so that's good.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 7D, consideration, discussion, possible approval of an authorization to execute a proclamation declaring support for and encourage participation in the 2019 Wyland National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation. Chuck? Sure that's what the rain barrel's for, right?
That's what it's for. Good evening, Mayor, Councilors. Chuck Vokes, I'm the Utilities Director. I have the privilege of introducing Lauren Wilson, who has been representing the Utilities Department in coordination with the Mayor on the Mayor's Water Challenge. So Lauren's going to come up and tell you all about it and what the rain barrel's for. So Lauren.
Good evening. I'd like to present a proclamation for your approval that declares support for and encourages participation in the Wyland National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation for the second year. The challenge is a friendly contest led by mayors from across the country to encourage their residents to practice water-wise habits. Residents in participating cities are asked to take a series of online pledges that encourage small changes that have a big impact for water resources. The city who has the most residents that take the pledge in their population category will win bragging rights, and a deserving charity in their city will win a 2019 Toyota Highlander Hybrid. There are lots of prizes that residents can win, such as $3,000 toward utility bills, gift cards, and irrigation supplies. Residents are encouraged to share with their friends and family for an opportunity to win even more. Broken Arrow's Jeff Bigby won $100 last year during the contest. Broken Arrow will compete in the 30,000 to 99,000 population category for 2019. We ranked 18th last year, but our goal is to reach the top 10 this year. Residents can take the pledge between April 1st and 30th at brokenarrowok.gov/waterpledge. This year, the Utilities Department would like to remind citizens to practice water-wise irrigation habits. Water usage in Broken Arrow nearly doubles in summer months due to irrigation, and the runoff flows directly into creeks and streams without treatment. Irrigation runoff can contain pesticides, oil, and other contaminants that are harmful to Oklahoma's surface water. Even a very small irrigation system leak can waste over 6,000 gallons of water per month. Residents can participate in many ways. Some of them are installing rain and freeze sensors on irrigation systems to cut down on water waste, testing sprinkler output using easy tips to determine how long to water, having sprinkler systems inspected yearly for leaks and repairing the leaks, using drip irrigation when possible, installing low-flow faucets, shower heads, and toilets, washing only full loads of laundry and dishes, and not letting the faucet run while washing dishes, brushing teeth, and shaving. City staff will publicize the challenge for residents in several ways. We will have a booth at the Rose District Farmers Market each Saturday in April, where residents can take the pledge, enter to win a rain barrel, and speak to an irrigation contractor about special discounts for the month. We will distribute water conservation activity books to kindergarten through second grade students in Broken Arrow, Union, and Bixby schools in the Broken Arrow city limits. The City Communications Department would like to get a video of Mayor Thurmond accepting the challenge, and staff will promote the challenge throughout the month of April on the Conserve BA Facebook page, as well as other social media outlets. This is one of the rain barrels that we're going to give away at the farmers market, and it actually has a planter that attaches to the top of it. The Utilities Department is very excited about promoting two of the things that we hold near and dear to our heart, which is water conservation and water quality, and we're looking forward to raising some important issues with our residents. And that's the end of my presentation.
It's great, and I think it's great. Last year, we finished 18th, first time we've done it. I promise this year I'm not going to do a video of me doing laundry. But I'm sure we're going to do a video on irrigation, I think, this year, and hopefully get a lot of people to sign up, and we can finish higher than 18th this year, finishing that top 10.
I'm excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a proclamation that we need a vote on to accept.
I'd make a motion to approve the proclamation declaring support for and encouraging participation in the 2019 Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation and authorize its execution.
Second.
Got a motion, 2 seconds. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Okay, item 8 is citizens' opportunity to address the council on general topics related to city business or services. No action may be taken on matters under this item. We have one person signed up, David Harold.
That's me. Thank
Okay.
you for having me.
Please state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yeah, David Harold. I'm with Connor Winters Law Firm, 4001 Williams Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. What else did I need to say?
That's it.
That's it. I don't have much time, and you all have received a couple of letters with regard to PUD 266. I believe it's the Centennial Crossing from my law partner, Scott Hathaway. I know this is a matter that's set in executive session tonight, agenda item 14.1, so there's no action to be taken out in the open. But I am here just to encourage the council to do the right thing. I don't need to rehash what's in the letters. I don't need to revisit all of the facts that are in the letters. But to do the right thing and to send this proposal back to the notice it correctly so that the public receives the proper notice, and then you can hold the public hearing on it. It's been mentioned in one of the letters that litigation is ready to go. I hope that can be avoided. There's been so much positivity that I've heard before my presentation or my chance. I hope that can be avoided and can be a positive thing as well, and proceed toward proper notice and proper vote on the PUD 266. One last thing, and my time is running out, and I'm actually going to finish early. I have been asked by which is good, you don't want to hear an attorney talk too much. I have been asked by my clients to ask the city to caution the applicant with regard to this PUD and its representatives about verbally accosting family members of the protester, I guess the citizens, the protesters, my clients. It's a concern, and they were concerned enough to ask me to raise that with the city council tonight. So that's all I have. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, item 9A, general council business. Consideration, discussion, possible approval of, and authorization for concrete pours on a milestone project located at 305 North Main Street. Michael Skates.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Michael Skates, Development Services Director. Cowan Construction has requested a slab pour, which will be their first one for the milestone project located at 305 North Main Street, beginning 3 a.m. This Friday, March 22nd. This will be the first of several, if not more than several, pours. As indicated, they would like to do this. They'll take about an hour to set up before the trucks arrive, and then the early arrival will allow crews to handle the concrete and reduce traffic prior to 8 a.m. And we're recommending approval of this request and asking to be authorized to approve future requests with proper notification. And with that, not knowing exactly when the pours would occur, I would reach out to the city manager's office as well as police and fire, and then ultimately on to you all to inform you all prior to any pours that take place in the early morning hours, so that everybody is aware of that. And so that's the recommendation request before you.
With regard to this, and I believe in the legislative sheet it talks that it's away from single-family homes, but I assume there's also going to be a lot of noise with, well, I poured concrete when I was in college, so it can be noisy. That's why I don't do that anymore. But how far away is the nearest? I mean, I am concerned at 3 o'clock in the morning of how it will impact.
Right, and that was a concern that we had too. The nearest home that I can tell is about a block and a half away, and most of the pours are going to be over on Main Street side, so there's a significant distance. They're planning on bringing the trucks in. There may be some that do back up, so a lot of the noise may just be that beeping sound when they back up, but they're hoping to at least spend the first hour just getting set up and then moving forward with that. So we've done early morning pours before and work on Main Street in that area. So, we think we just have to kind of monitor that and see how things go moving forward.
What's the time frame? How long, and what's the time period that it'll take them? How many days on the pour?
Well, this pour is scheduled for Friday, this coming Friday. In my conversations with them as early as yesterday, the request for Friday may be delayed because of some internal changes that the client and the architect are making on the first floor. It appears there's going to be more restaurants now than previously anticipated, so there's some changes that may delay that pour. Of course, weather always is a purpose for that too. With the early morning pours, they're looking at doing the north quarter of that, so you're looking at at least 4 potential pours, if not more. It just depends on how far they can get based on their setup, and then ultimately going vertical.
Are they going to pour it with a pumper that they can
Yes.
pump it over in?
Yes.
I'm a little bit concerned also about the noise, and certainly want feedback after this first pour to work with it. I know I've seen the concrete guys pour in the middle of the night a lot of times, and usually it's because of the heat, trying to
Right.
keep the heat off the concrete. I don't visualize that much traffic, so I think it's something that could be doable if it does get too noisy. So be sure to monitor that
I will.
closely, because I think, at least as cool as it is at this time of year, I think they could pour it later, but I don't mind trying it and see. I know that pumper's going to, is going to be quite a bit more noisy, so just monitor it closely.
I will. I plan on being there if they do it on Friday. If they don't do it on Friday, I will definitely let the city manager's office know and get that information to you as well. But I plan on being there Friday morning just to kind of monitor it myself, just to see how many trucks there are and kind of get back with the city manager's office and then back to you all.
Okay, be good. I make a motion to approve and authorize early
Thank you.
morning concrete pours for Milestone Project. Thank you, Michael.
Second?
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lister,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Item 9B, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an authorization to execute an agreement between the City of Broken Arrow and Android Event Solutions LLC to host 2019 Patriots in the Park. Vonda Olivera.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Vonda Olivera. I'm the Community Event Manager, work in the Parks and Recreation Department. Adroit Event Solutions is proposing a partnership with the City of Broken Arrow to host a July 4th event on, of course, Thursday, July 4th, from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. At the Broken Arrow Events Park. This will be a first annual event called Patriots in the Park, and will feature a multitude of events or activities and live performances by local talent. They have 15 to 20 bands tentatively scheduled for this event. They also have a water park, which I think will be interesting out there. It is going to be in July, and the heat will be an issue, so I think that will help with some of that. This year's event will also include a barbecue competition with chance to win trophies, and they have offered a challenge between the Broken Arrow Police Department and the Broken Arrow Fire Department on a cooking competition. There will be several local wineries and a great selection of local beer from breweries. And rounding out the evening activities, they will have Burn Tulsa Fire Team. If you haven't seen them, they do juggling and fire activities at night, and one of the largest fireworks displays in this area. They'll have a VIP experience and will include an elevated barbecue buffet, drink tickets, and most importantly, air-conditioned porta potties, because it will be July. Plenty of games, and of course, prime seating for the fireworks show. Steve Campbell with Adroit Event Solutions is here to answer any detailed questions that you might have.
I don't have any questions, but I will tell you I was excited to hear and see about this. I know many people are lamenting the fact that Rama can no longer do its event.
Yes.
And I think the patriotism in me, as well as just how well this community does 4th of July, we needed something. And so I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see that another company has been able to step up and fill what was going to be a pretty big hole, in my opinion. So I'm excited about this.
Thank you.
I would ask the council if they would allow Scott to come up and speak. I mean, Scott was the organizer, so I'm sorry, Steve, at Scott Fest last year.
Yeah.
And, you know, as Vice Mayor said, you know, with Rainbow deciding not to do their event, I mean, it does leave a big hole, and that's why I'm asking the council for your consideration for this year. And then if we have successful, like I think it will be, then we can actually talk about it as a part of the budget process next year.
Hi, guys. I think Vaughn kind of summarised a good amount of this. Just let me know what sort of questions you have on it. The plan from our standpoint was to do something as down-home, American, patriotic as we possibly could that was just kind of rooted around the community as a whole. So I think we're
We
trying
just
to...
wanted to hear your accent.
That's South Broken Arrow accent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and I'd reiterate it. I appreciate you and your group stepping up to fill the hole.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, every community says this, but I know Broken Arrow's always done 4th of July right, and I think this allows us to continue doing that. And you know, I think, I mean, from my point of view, especially when they're willing to step up and do all the heavy lifting, I can't really vote no on something like that. So.
I had a question, and I was going to ask Vonda, but maybe you can answer. Will there be any more public, you know, police and fire? What kind of number of people are we setting up for this event? Same as we might be for Rama, or how many police officers, firemen will be called in, or the situation?
We've had some initial conversations just to try and set the ball and get some of those expectations set, and I think general anticipation right now is to say about the 50,000, 60,000 mark, somewhere along the lines of what REMA was drawing in.
Okay, so probably be the same type of safety individuals, police and fire there at that location, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I know that Rama's always the Sunday before, and people kind of count on it's always that Sunday before. Do you anticipate, because a lot of people go to the lake on 4th of July, do you anticipate having a lower attendance because it's actually on 4th of July? Have you guys, I'm sure you've discussed that, but.
I don't think we'll see a drop in attendance. We have discussed it. We've kind of wrestled with a few things. We initially thought about doing it the 3rd and 4th or the weekend before, and it just made more sense to hit it there the Thursday night before everybody heads off for the weekend. But it's hard to tell. I mean, it's, you know, for doing events, it's just one of those things where you've got to make the best judgment call.
Well, a lot of times when it falls on the day, on a Thursday, people take off on Friday anyway.
Right.
So.
That's what we figured too.
I agree with everybody else. I'm glad to see somebody stepping up, and glad for the city to be a partner in it.
Absolutely.
I'd make a motion to approve and authorize execution of the agreement between the city and Adroit Event Solutions, LLC.
Second.
Motion 2 seconds. Roll call, or any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lister?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9C, consideration, discussion, and possible approval to appoint one council member to Broken Arrow Public Schools Redefining Ready Plan Committee. Michael.
Thank you, Mayor. I received a request from Dr. Janet Dunlop, who is our superintendent of schools for the Broken Arrow Public School District, asking for my participation and one member of the city council. I know all the council members support the Broken Arrow Public Schools, Union Public Schools, and I was not going to just close my eyes and put my, you know, I figured I better bring this before the council and ask for your decision. Just want to read from the fact sheet. Is that Redefining Ready is a national initiative launched by the School Superintendents Association to introduce new research-based metrics to more appropriately assess which students are college-ready, career-ready, and life-ready. Broken Arrow Public School Superintendent Janet Dunlop has asked that my office and one city council member from Broken Arrow City Council to participate in the Redefining Ready Planning Committee. This group will answer the following question: what do we as a community want in a high school graduate? The committee is tasked with creating a portrait of high school student, which will include defining metrics and priorities for the Broken Arrow Public School District. The committee is going to meet on the following dates: April 9th, May 2nd, May 21st, and May 30th, tentatively if needed. So what I'm asking the council is to select one of your own to participate in the meetings on those dates. We do have to take a look at our budget meetings, make sure we work around those, but I would like to ask a member of the council to serve with us on the READY committee.
I think that only had one council member's been on the school board, and that's Mike Lester. I don't know if Mike wants to do it or
Yeah,
not.
I'd enjoy that, especially being a
Someone
graduate of
else's-
Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
Do we need an alternate as well, or to fill in?
I mean, it doesn't hurt to have
Whenever
an
you can.
alternate in case there is a conflict, if something comes up, then one of you could go.
That would be good. Anybody want to volunteer?
I'm on the foundation board, so
Okay.
that fits nicely.
If everybody's fine with that, and I'm not volunteering.
Then I would make a motion to appoint Mike Lester as the member to the committee with Deborah Wimpy as the alternate if necessary.
I'll second.
Got a motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. I'm happy I'm not on another committee.
Tell me where you're up to now.
The item D, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of resolution number 1199. This is Cindy. So
Mayor, we
okay, I see that. We're gonna table that until beta. So we need a motion to
So
table
moved.
this.
To table?
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Sorry again.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Okay, item 10 is preview ordinances. There are none. Item 11 is ordinances, consideration, discussion, possible adoption of ordinance number 3092 corrected. Trevor.
Thank you, Mayor. Back in 2010, the city had vacated a partial easement over in the Stonebridge Park subdivision. Recently, the homeowner came to actually vacate that easement, which is the second step of the process so that can be vacated. They discovered that there was a scrivener's error in the legal description. The ordinance before you corrects that scrivener's error. As such, staff recommends that you adopt ordinance number 3092 corrected and authorize its execution.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 3092 corrected and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
And I failed to mention that we also require an emergency clause on that so that it can take effect immediately.
Move for the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 12 is remarks and inquiries by governing body members. I don't have anything. Does anyone have anything they want to say?
I just remind, we set the dedication for the Reflection Park for March 27th at 2 o'clock. So we've had some scheduling problems with some of the participants. So we've got it scheduled for the 27th at 2 o'clock. So I'd like to have everybody out.
I'd like to comment too that we were at the National League of Cities convention this last week, and I think all the council members made all of their meetings that they're supposed to, so I was pleased about that. They did their different committees, which was very enlightening. It's the first time I served on my committee on energy and did learn a lot. But the reason I spoke up is that we had taken 5 of our seniors, and we do each year. The city council sponsors the seniors of our youth city council and take them to Washington, D.C. Jennifer Hooks does a great job of having everything planned out. All their time was planned for the most part, but it was extremely successful. And no offense to all the rest of the groups we've taken, but this is the quietest, best group that we ever had. Now, I know I'll mention that later on when they have their mock youth city council. But with Jennifer's leadership, all 5 of them that went were just great leaders and very courteous every place we went. And I don't know when there's such a relaxing trip. Usually when you take 5 seniors, you're kind of with your eyes open all the time. But this was really smooth. They did a good job.
As the co-sponsor, I would echo Councilman Parks' comments. This was a great bunch of kids, and just when you watch the news and think all the world is falling apart, you get to spend some time with young people like that, and you realize, okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah, well, the only thing, I just thought of something that April 2nd, we are going to move our council meeting to 5:30. I don't know if you were going to discuss that or not, Michael, but we have an election that day. I just want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. And that'll wrap us up. We'll go to item 13, remarks and updates by city manager, including recognition of recent accomplishments by employees and elected officials. Michael.
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council members. I'd like to thank everyone for attending the meeting tonight. It's great to see so many folks here. I do have a few updates I'd like to give you in the areas of communication and transparency, economic development, transportation. We have a couple employee announcements and spotlights I wanted to mention, and then a community update. I wanted to start with community and transparency is that tonight, Krista Flash, our communication director, passed out the annual report for 2018. And once again, I believe that you will find this is an outstanding document that represents the city in 2018. As the council directed a couple of years ago, we sent it out to a lot of our stakeholders at the federal level, our legislators at that level, as well as to a number of our larger businesses within the community and within the region. It really just showcases the successes that the city's had this year, and it starts off with a vibrant and award-winning city. And so I look forward to sharing this with the council. If anyone has any questions, I would certainly entertain those questions after you had a chance to take a look at it. I want to thank Krista Flash for once again putting together an outstanding document. I know that she had a great deal of help from T.J. Gerlach and Mary McAtee, as well as the administration, so thank you very much. This month, moving on in the focus, we have a spotlight on the legal department. Basically Trevor Dennis is on the cover, as well as on the back is about the city clerk's office. So in our ongoing efforts for the community to learn more about the department, the directors and the staff members. So I'm looking forward to putting this piece out in the newsletter. Also wanted to mention in transparency, the final item is there is an article in the Southwest Waterworks Journal. It's called the Together Project, A New Paradigm in Education and Public Outreach. It was written by our own beloved Kenny Schwab. And so he published an article in this prestigious magazine talking about the partnership that we have with Broken Arrow Public Schools for the floodplain stormwater management project that we all have been aware of for the last 18 months. Incredibly informative article. Great job, Kenny. Lots of pictures, lots of accolades for the kids, the school district, and the city. And I think it brings a spotlight on the relationship we have with the Broken Arrow Public School District and the partnership. And I think it's going to be a model that actually some other communities, for example, Union School District has actually talked to us about possibly doing something as well. So kudos, Kenny. Great job. In the area of economic development, I wanted to mention, and the council members are aware of this, is that several years ago, there was some discussion about adding some toll gates, exit ramps, on-ramps to the Muskogee Turnpike near our armory. And that really didn't go anywhere. Fortunately, Senator Hayes, John Hayes, and Senator Kim David have decided to collaborate to see if there is an opportunity for jump-starting that initiative to actually put the gates there at at the armory. And Senator Hayes has asked me to spearhead getting all the stakeholders' contact information together for the city of Broken Arrow as well as Wagner County, so we can have a meeting in late May, early June to have everyone there to talk about the possibility of partnering together to put those exit on and off ramps on the Muskogee Turnpike. I've given him that list last Friday, which consisted of the Broken Arrow City Council, the members of the administration, EDC. I've spoken to the city manager in Coedo, and he gave me the information for his city as well as Wagner County. And so there's a list right now of probably 25 to 30 stakeholders that are going to be invited to this meeting to begin those discussions. What's interesting is you also have the soon-to-be Director of Transportation, Tim Gatz, I believe is his name, is very supportive, as well as FEMA is going to be using the Armory as a place to station equipment and supplies and possibly food in case there has to be some type of incident, which actually could open up federal funding for the project. So this could truly be a collaboration, and as you know, that could open up the growth in that area of our community. We're starting to see a lot of transportation issues on Highway 51, and this could actually help alleviate some of those while we allow ODOT to get into their plan to be able to make the improvements along Highway 51. So the council is going to be receiving an invite on that. I don't have any more information, but that's starting to float around out there. I want to make sure the council is aware of it. I also wanted to mention that last Thursday, we kicked off our first meeting of our business retention and engagement expansion program with the meeting in the Rose District. We had approximately 30 businesses, owners, operators that attended. It was a great conversation. We were very respectful of their time, lasted about an hour and 15 minutes. We talked about the importance of communication and how the city was going to communicate with the members or the businesses within the Rose District. We discussed the special events and how we were going to make sure that they are aware of what's going on and how those would affect their business. We also discussed the fact that we now have a physical presence on basically right off of Main Street on Commercial, and that they are welcome anytime to come in to stop in. And then we also talked about something near and dear to everyone's hearts, so that is parking and traffic enforcement. And so, I made it very clear that, there are unintended consequences that need to be considered when you're talking about the 2-hour parking limits. Obviously, there were a few other concerns, but it was a great interactive conversation. I want to thank Lori Hill, Brian Barger, and Norm Stevens for coordinating that. We did tell them that we're actually going to have periodic meetings with the folks within the Rose District. I'm thinking right now probably quarterly, and then we will have probably subcommittee meetings to talk about the various things that are going down there. But it was very, very positive. Thank you for recognizing Zeco. We will be there next week. Obviously, that's a major employer within our community that's made a tremendous investment, so I appreciate your recognition of them. In transportation and road projects, let me just a quick shout out to Rocky and Alex for their presentations this evening. Letting folks know what goes on in our city is certainly important, and these are the tools that are available. We have OpenGov that has been in place for a couple of years. People can see how much gas we're buying for police vehicles, for example. I think that's really good. This is another transparency piece. It also lets the public know how we're spending the tax dollars for streets and roads. I do want to mention the next item is that at the INCOG board meeting, the Indian Nation Council of Governments meeting that I'm a board member on, there was an amendment to the surface transportation plan, and Broken Arrow has received 3 projects, and I want to mention those because it's federal dollars coming back to Broken Arrow. First off, we're receiving $400,000 for utility work in connection with the widening and the bridge replacement from 71st to 81st on County Line Road. So that's $400,000 that's coming back. Secondly is that we're going to be receiving about $440,000 for the extension of the Liberty Park Trail between Elm Place and north to the corner of Ithaca. And so in trying to do our connectivity, we received over almost $440,000 to match with funds that the voters approved. And then finally, we received $3 million from a federal grant to help us with the widening of Olive from 61st to 71st. That was a project that was a little further along. However, that met the criteria, so we actually moved that project back in order to get the $3 million. And so right now, we're actually still in the process of completing the plans and specifications, and then also the right-of-way work that's necessary. And so essentially, that's about almost $4 million of federal funds that have come back to Broken Arrow for projects, and I want to mention that to the council. I also wanted to mention, with regard to grants, is the application window for the Build Grant program is going to be opening up sometime in late April, and the application is going to be due in July with the award notice in December. Secretary of Department Elaine Chao will make the announcement sometime in December. We're once again want to let the council know that we're going to apply for the additional funding we need for the road widening and the bridge replacement on County Line Road. We will be applying for $5 million is the minimum amount for the project. I would let the council know is that we are going to look at having what they call a cost-benefit analysis study done, which is, I think, a piece is actually will help us with our application. This will be the third time that we've applied for this grant, and sometimes you have to get into the hopper to be able to work your way up. So that could cost us $25,000 to $35,000. So Alex and Kenny are going to visit with Viplob, with INCOG, about working through INCOG to have the cost benefit done, because it'll actually, I believe, show that this project meets the warrants at the federal level to receive this type of funding. So if in fact that was approved, that would give us what we need to complete the project and could possibly free up some funds that we did have allocated to go towards other projects that were on the bond package. So I'm very excited about that. Alex and Rocky both mentioned Wolf Creek subdivision. We're about 50% complete with that work. Weather permitted, we're looking at around Labor Day, early June, we should be completed. And I wanted to mention that we're about ready to be finished with Ash, and hopefully in the next few weeks, and then just get to the punch list work. We did go out to bid for First Street today, and that's going to be on the street with probably award before the council sometime next month or so. And so we're going to complete one major collector arterial within our downtown, and we're going to move right over to the east side of Main Street and complete that work. That was a bond package project. And employee spotlights, I want to mention first and foremost, we had an employee in the utility department. His name is Jed. Make sure I pronounce it correctly. Balancic. Jed Balancic. Okay, there's Jed. Jed got his A-Water operation certification. You know, we have a treatment plant that the voters approved, $64 million, that requires a certain level of expertise to maintain, and Jed is one of those folks that makes sure that's happened, so I want to congratulate him. Chuck pointed that out to me, so please pass our congratulations on. And then also in employee spotlights, a member of the HR department. This is really cool. We have a risk manager. His name is Tu Zong. Tu received a letter from Dr. Roy Wood from the University, NSU, talking about his participation with the university and helping them with risk management, and he's doing a great job. And I just wanted to recognize received a very nice letter from one of our educational partners about his efforts. So congratulations to, and he's doing a wonderful job. So then finally, next Thursday, lots going on. Council did approve a resolution proclaiming the week of March 25th is Arbor Week, and so there will be a celebration on the 28th. There will be an Arbor Day celebration, and so Krista will be sending out some information and inviting the council members to come out to the Arbor Day, which is very important. That going to make sure this, so I get home and I can get home and come in tonight, is mentioning the importance of taking care of Mother Earth.
Yes.
And so anyone knows my better half, it's very important that I mention that. So so I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I wanted to make sure that the council knows that there's a lot happening, and hopefully, I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of Michael? Okay, seeing none, we do have executive session, so I would entertain a motion for a brief recess to go into Bama and Beta.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Foodie?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Okay, I'll call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Here.
Parks?
Here.
Lester?
Here.
Foodie?
Here.
Thurman?
Here. Consideration of consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Foodie?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Number 5 is public hearings, appeals, presentations, recognitions, and awards. We have a presentation regarding an updated Lynn Lane wastewater treatment plant. And Chuck's going to do that.
Thank you, Chair and Trustees. Chuck Vokes, the Utilities Director. I'm very excited to be able to give you an update on the $9.8 million Headworks Improvements investment at the Lynn Lane wastewater treatment plant. Let me see. There we go. The first slide is a process diagram, and we're talking, the Headworks is the area circled in red. As a reminder, the Headworks issues that were identified that drove this project were that the Headworks equipment was constructed over 30 years ago. The equipment and electrical gear were at the end of their useful life. And then there's the odors that had been identified from the pumping, the screening, and the grit processes. and the additional requirement of a 100-foot barrier between the processes and the fence line. In 2002, there was an odor study done that identified that 98% of the odor coming from the facility were from the Headworks area. So the Headworks project, we have installed some pumps. We have put in some state-of-the-art screening and grit washing, and all of this is enclosed in an area that is then going to be scrubbed by a biofilter. And a biofilter, what it does is it's a media, and you actually grow microorganisms on the media, and those microorganisms eat the constituents in the odor as a cleaning process. I recently got to visit the Tulsa South plant, and they have a biofilter over there, and I was able to stand next to it and not even tell that it was there. So hopefully ours is going to be as effective as theirs is. The project started literally breaking ground February of 2018, and then I just have some slides showing you the process. This is in April. This is July. This is September, and then the December, and then currently, and we have a drone footage, if we can get it to work, to show you what the facility looked like just a few weeks ago. So coming into view is the Headworks project, the concrete buildings. The big black square, that's the biofilter.
Wow. Really get a feeling for the scope of it. Yeah.
That's good, thank you. So, and I labeled the various buildings there. You can see the pumping area, the screenings area, the grit, and the biofilter. So the nice thing about it is going in service on time, actually early in May, and the project completion is scheduled to be done in June. So we're wrapping up the project, and that investment hopefully is going to pay off just the way we want it to. So from there, I'll answer any questions.
It's amazing we have a lot of odor when you have the turnover of that plant, and so that's good that we're, Russell won't be getting the phone calls he's been getting from people, so it'll eliminate a lot of phone calls.
I did have some questions, because I remember one of the first facilities I toured when I got elected was that facility. I don't know why they chose that to be the first facility, but they did. As I recall, we had two screening facilities. I mean, the old building had two screens. One was inoperable, and the other one was only operable in the generic sense. How many screens will we have now?
There is just one large screening facility,
but it's a very
and
large.
again, it's contained in that building, and it's a state-of-the-art screening and grit removal system that we're installing.
So the old building or the old screening systems where the water came in, that's going to be demolished when this is finished?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Those facilities, the old screw pumps, those will be demolished, and the screening facility, that will all be demolished. And amazing, they're supposed to start at the end of May, and within a week or two be done.
So what, since there's only one screen, is the feeling that is it much larger than what was there?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. It is a state-of-the-art. It's very large. It has a built-in washing system, and so we're very pleased with the equipment that was selected.
I mean, I'm excited about this because seeing what it was and seeing what it can be.
Yes.
I think the average citizen, if they understood how that worked, because I didn't.
Right.
Understanding now, this is far and above system. I'm excited about what it's going to mean for the efficiency and the odors and the other things that plague the old system. That I think this is a great thing.
Yeah, the other benefit with the high-quality screening that we're going to receive is that then the downstream processes all will work better because there's not the carryover of those items into those processes.
And you moved it to the south, back toward the river, So you moved it further away from the subdivisions even themselves too, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, yes. It's more located in the central part of the facility.
Okay.
I talked to a number of homeowners that live in that area a week or so ago, and they don't care how it works, they just want to make sure it does work.
Yeah. Well,
And they're
we're-
excited that
we're going to make
we're
sure it
doing
works.
this. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good job.
Anything else? Thank you so
Nice
much.
job, Chuck.
Appreciate it.
Okay, item 6, general authority business, consideration, discussion, and possible approval to reject all bids for construction for County Line Trunk Sewer Phase 1 and find the best interest of the City of Broken Arrow Authority will be served by the rejection. Alex.
Alex Mills again.
Sewer now.
Yeah, sewer. Well, I find it very difficult to follow any presentation with drone videos. So I'm very aggravated at Chuck for making me do that. I would like to say that Jeff Westfall, Stacy White, Roger Hughes, and particularly Tim Robbins have had a big hand in that project and have made it a success as well. So I'd like to publicly thank them for their efforts there. We went out to bid for the County Line Trunk Sewer project. As you all know, that is a very large project for the city. Important replacement of a main collector for our sanitary sewer system. We advertised on February 4th and 11th, held a mandatory pre-bid meeting on the 12th, and bids were opened on the 26th of February. We received 6 bids, 4 were responsive, and unfortunately the lowest of those bids was considerably higher than our budget. We're recommending you reject all bids, and what we'd like to do is make some design modifications to the plans, include different material options for the piping material. We're going to probably extend the amount of time that the selected contractor would have to do the right-of-way clearing. There's a lot of trees involved and that sort of thing. Provide a little bit more time for that. And at the mandatory pre-bid, we're probably going to talk a little bit more about our bidding process. For a project of this type, there's not a lot of firms directly around here that do this work, so we had some new bidders, and they didn't quite get our process down. So we actually had one bid that was very competitive, and we would have loved to have selected it, but it was not responsive. And it was, quite frankly, just I think unfamiliarity with our process. So we'll probably reinforce that a little bit at the pre-bid meeting. And we also had a timing conflict. Unbeknownst to us, there was a very large project in Texas that was bidding at the same time. And again, the types of firms that can do a line this size and this much work are fairly limited regionally. And so we think that had an impact as well. So unfortunately, that's where we're at. And so we'd ask your approval to reject these bids and go back out to bid. If you do approve it, we'd advertise in April and come back to you with hopefully an award in May.
Do you feel that there's sufficient time to meet the September 1, 2020 deadline?
Yes. Yes. We have to be under construction, and we will certainly be under construction by that time.
Alex, if I can, what was the estimate? I mean,
we have $15 million for the first phase, the lower phase of this project, and our lowest responsive bid was somewhere here, $16 million and $16 million.
A little over $20 million total.
Oh yeah, the entire project will be probably pushing $20 million.
and the parameters of from where to where?
This comes from the wastewater treatment plant, basically up to this first phase comes basically up to the Creek Turnpike. That's where we've had our overflows. That's where I call it the manhole of interest is, the one that continues to have a little bit of water popping out of it from time to time. And
it's accompanied by an attractive smell.
It is. We do smells in Broken Arrow real well. But hopefully if we can get this fixed and the Headworks project as planned, we will reduce that problem.
I'd make a motion to reject all bids for the construction of the County Line Trunk Sewer Phase in the best interest of the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Roll call.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lister?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Here we have a executive session, so I'd entertain a motion to go into a brief recess for beta.
So moved.
Motion second?
One of them seconded it.
Okay.
Which one?
She did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Foodie?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Okay, I'll call the Brooklyn Economic Development Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Here.
Parks?
Here.
Lester?
Here.
Foodie?
Here.
Thurman?
Here. Consideration of the consent agenda. Any items to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Foodie?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
I'm just gonna be quiet.
Okay, item 5, General Authority Business, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of Resolution 1198. Cindy? Should you explain this to us?
Good evening. Last meeting, we discussed about refinancing the TIF district, and we had hired a bond counsel and municipal finance. Ben Oglesby with Municipal Finance is here to tell us the findings of moving forward with refinancing the TIF.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to be back in Broken Arrow. I wanted to kind of, if you remember from our last meeting, we were in negotiations with the bank that currently has the TIF note that we issued in 2010. And we've been talking to another large commercial bank that we thought would be a good opportunity to refinance this debt. And so just to recap, I'm going to basically speak to what's up on the screen. The 2010 note, just to refresh your memories, it's a variable interest rate. And it varies with a 6-month LIBOR, and then you add 2% to that. So the current interest rate on that note is 4.87. It started out back in 2010, it was in the 2s, so it's kind of steadily risen as short-term rates have risen. So it's at 4.87 now. It has a current balance of about $7.5 million, and the payments on it range between $835,000 to $840,000 a year. And it's currently secured by 1/8 of a penny city sales tax. So that's what we did back in 2010. So the objectives of the financing that we're about to talk about were basically 6 objectives. We were going to try to change the variable interest rate to a fixed interest rate. We were then going to try to lower the interest rate. We're going to try to shorten the term by about 3 years. And by shortening the term, we're actually increasing the debt service from about $835 to $840. We're bringing it up closer to $1 million a year. And but just so you know, the TIF district itself in 2018 generated about $1.3 million. So we still feel we have sufficient coverage of that payment. So we got about 1.3 times coverage. The next objective was we want to secure the note with the TIF revenues themselves. The whole point of the financing in 2010 was that this is a TIF financing. We'd like to secure it with TIF revenues. We couldn't do it in 2010 because it was such a new thing. Now it has a proven track record that we can go back to. We want to reduce the original note had a debt service reserve fund that has started out at $750,000, and with interest earnings, it's actually kind of up to about $770,000. We'd like to be able to reduce that. That'll create some economic efficiency for us. And number 6, which is the big issue, is we want to reduce total debt service. So those were the objectives of the financing. So how do you advance that forward? Thank you. On the next page, basically, I wanted to kind of show you the savings that we're going to present tonight. On the left-hand column there is the 2010 note debt service, and that's assuming that 4.87%, which is a variable, I'm just assuming it stays the same all the way to the maturity of 2030. It's going to vary, but you have to have some sort of assumption to make some sort of analysis. So the total remaining debt service on that note is just over $10 million. And then out to the right there, you'll see I've got 3 different options. I've got JP Morgan Chase gave us 2 quotes. They gave us 3.25 and 3.35. The 3.25% interest is a non-callable note, which means that the city, the authority, cannot pay it off early. Once you take that note, you cannot pay them early. Okay, so that's great. The interest rate is great, but and in just a second, I'm going to give you why I like 3.35 better. The 3.35 The differential in the interest rate or the payments is not a whole lot. It's about $34,000 over the term. So I like both of those. BOK, which is the existing note holder that did the original 2010, they proposed 3.5%, and they gave us a 5-year call option, just like JP Morgan did on that 3.35. So what that means is that in 5 years, the authority has the option, if they want to, they can either use, if they have, if the TIF revenues have really come in much, significantly, we have a lot of cash on hand, we could pay it off early with cash, or we could refinance it, whichever we want to do. So we have that option. So all of these proposals save a lot of money. The savings, the gross savings start out, I have a headline number there of $1,371,000. I then have to make some adjustments because we do have funds on hand, so we don't want to count those. So after you account for those funds on hand, your savings are north of $1 million for any of these proposals, which is significant. Because we're actually increasing the payments for a while, the savings will not materialize until years 8, 9, and 10. Okay, those 3 years that we're kind of wiping out, that's when the savings is actually realized. So because of that, we do what's called a net present value savings, which is kind of an idea of accounting for when you get the savings. So it's still a significant number. It's almost $500,000. So the headline is you're going to save $1 million, but you're not going to save it immediately. It's going to be over time, and that equates to about $450,000 to $480,000, depending on which option we take. If you can go to the last one. I'm trying to demonstrate why I think it's better to take even though the 3.25 is obviously a better interest rate, a little bit lower payments, a little bit less interest. I like the idea of doing option B, which is the 3.35%, because if you'll notice there, I've got difference from lowest. It will save you theoretically about $33,000, okay? But if we get to the end of that 5-year call period, you're still going to have remaining interest to be paid of about $219,000. That's a possible savings if we have cash on hand or if rates are in our favor. And at that point, we're looking to refinance it not with an 8-year note like we are now, but with more like a 2 or 3-year note. So interest rates will almost certainly be lower than what they are now. So at that point in time, we're looking at a much shorter note to refinance. At that point, I think local banks might be an option because the term and the size of the deal are going to be very close to what they're looking for, and I think we could get a competitive bidding environment in that situation. So what I'm going to suggest to you is that we take option B, the 3.35, with the 5-year call option. Even though it's a little bit more interest theoretically, I think you'll have an opportunity to refinance this or pay it off early and save more money than you would save by taking the 3.25. I'll take any questions that you have.
Any questions?
I will just say that based on the TIF information that the finance director put together and we showed to the school district 2 weeks ago, with the growth that we're experiencing, I'd like to be in a position to be able to pay this off early if that's an option. So I would recommend, as Ben has, number B.
Yeah, I like that one better. Gives us more options.
I love flexibility.
I do too.
You never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Well, and just the fact that we have the opportunity to lock in an interest rate, because the problems with APRs is they can go lower, they can go a whole lot higher too. And right, especially as you watch the Fed doing what they're doing and raising it base interest rates.
When we did the 2010 note, there was like, okay, we're going to do variable, but we're not real crazy about it, and I'm glad we're able to get into a fixed rate.
I like that a lot. No, either one of these options, but I agree. I think having that flexibility after the 5-year term is wise.
So what I need tonight is make a motion for option B to accept JP Morgan Chase interest rate 3.35 callable note and approve resolution 1198 and authorize its execution.
So approval of the resolution does not, we need to adopt the item and then approve the resolution.
The interest rate, because it is not in the resolution at this time, because we just opened them today.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve option B as presented. And that would be 2 separate motions, right?
You can do it in one.
Okay, I'd make a motion to approve option B as presented and to approve resolution 1198 amended to accommodate option B.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And we do have executive sessions, so I'd entertain a motion to go into a brief recess to go back to council and deal with our table item.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Okay, we're back in regular council meeting. We'll go, item 9D that was tabled, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of resolution number 1199. Cindy?
The city must approve any debt incurred by the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority. Resolution 1199 approves the action taken by Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority under Resolution 1198, authoring the issue of its tax increment revenue note series 2019.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1199 and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And we do have executive sessions in all items, all agendas, so I'd entertain a motion for a brief recess to clear the room for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
Do they have that Lori and Brian's office open now? Can we go over there and check it out? I need to go over there and walk around.
Yeah, actually, they've got, it's just the two of them.